morning and welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. Really want to make this all happy and bright and joyful, and I really can't right now. It's not negative, but I have to lay down some stuff. Okay, I have to lay the crap down in the field. There's a guy on YouTube, and I think he might still be on Facebook. I don't think they've kicked him off completely yet. You know, he's on Parler. I don't know if he's on BitChute or Rumble yet. I've got to check. His name is JP Sears. His channel on YouTube is Awakening with JP. Fantastic guy. You know, I don't need to plug him. He's got 100,000 times the subscribers I do, I think. I think that's about right. Like 2 million or something, 3 million. You know, big YouTuber. And he's a comedian. He's a comedian who operates in the, I call it the Enlightenment space, okay? He's in that weird space, which I also operate in, kind of on the edges, because, as with anything, there are culture war factors involved. And funny thing about the Enlightenment space, you know, it's all about finding your inner peace and harmony, and then bringing it with you into the world so that you can operate in the world. You know, the goal for most people is not to sit on a park bench for 3 years. If you don't get that reference, this is one of the things that can happen when you get a moment of enlightenment, and it gets really hard when you're full in. It's not common. You know, there's lots of ways to handle it. There's a course out right now, I think, running 45 Days to Awakening, which is fantastic and will work for you, almost certainly, if you can commit to it. Anyway, he's in the Enlightenment space. I'm in the Enlightenment space, and I feel often like I'm on the edges of the Enlightenment space because I am not... because I come across as relatively right-wing in that space because I don't support things like end-to-end, cradle-to-grave safety net, no effort, because of the way the physical world works and because of the way the games of life work. You can't do that to people. You can't remove their agency and their ability to play the game of life. You know, you can't take them away from the game like that. I think that's like morally wrong. I understand the desire. You know, no child should sit there battered and hungry and with no access to health care. Okay, no one should have their life destroyed because they get some weird ass disease that no one planned for. You know. I understand all that. I have no problems with the concepts of care. I have a problem with the concepts of mandating and then changing people's behaviors to fit the mandate, which is a really big problem right now. And I've noticed that more people in the Enlightenment space are very quietly kind of not going with it. Okay, they're not complying, but they won't say anything. You know, I watched an interview with Jeffrey Martin. He's a fantastic guy. He's the reason I managed to achieve that complete, total, life-changing level of enlightenment. His programs are fantastic. You know, he is, of course, a marketing genius, and he's selling it, but he's selling a real product, so I'm happy with that. You know, and the way it worked out was really, really good. But he was doing an interview with the Buddha at the gas pump, he's another podcaster. And Buddha at the gas pump is in the transcendental meditation world, which is sort of like a combination of the Catholics and the no fun allowed Baptists in the Enlightenment space. I don't mean to put it down at all, okay, but they are very structured, they're very hierarchical, there's little grades and things and stuff you have to do, and it takes a lifetime or more than one lifetime or multiple millions of lifetimes to achieve enlightenment. And it's not, you know, they get really upset at the idea that you go through a 45-day course, and somewhere in that 45-day course, 75% of people are just gonna, that switch is gonna flip, because we've got a basket of techniques and you just do them and everything, and suddenly boom, you're there. All right, it's fantastic. But the transcendental meditation people don't like it, and they have a culture and I want to say a Catholicism, a very specific culture with hierarchies and rules and thought processes and thought boundaries, things you have to approve of and have to disapprove of. For example, you have to disapprove of Republicans as a party in politics because they're Republicans. There's no real other reason for that. So I watched this interview, and it was Jeff Martin, and it was the Buddha at the gas pump guy who talks a lot in his interviews. He basically, interviews are a space for him to expound his own thoughts, and while in dialogue with another person. It's a very good format in some ways, but he's like putting himself in the Joe Rogan guest space while he's interviewing someone, and it's in an academic sense, it's actually a fantastic method, but as an interview sense, it's a little jarring at times. Anyway, he had a very specific comment with Jeffrey, where he talked about how he just mentioned snidely, with the assumption that everyone agrees, how awful Trump was. And you know, it was funny to watch, because if you do stuff with Jeffrey, you can start to get a read on it. And Jeffrey was very polite, but it was pretty obvious that he's like, yeah, this dude isn't actually Hitler, and he's really good for business, and I do business, and he's not so shabby on religious freedom, and I do religious freedom, and you might be programmed. Like I could almost read his mind in his face while this interview was going on. So the Buddha gas pump guy is one of those. There's a lot of people in the Enlightenment space like that, you know, and they have a very set piece of snide, evil, awful, you know, predefinitions, presuppositions, and so you're not allowed to think something nice about a Donald Trump, because you've been told that all the proper, respectful, humanistic people can't like someone like Donald Trump. But you can't look at what he did and then maintain that. Not if you look all around. Donald Trump is human. He's got some really bad, fucked up mistakes. He's got some really good things he's done. But and as a president, as the course of the nation, he's been really good at educating the public and himself about the limits of his executive power, about the tweaks of executive power. It's been a fantastic 4 years. Because we did this all without all of the heartache of going through a depression at the same time, or some other horrible thing. No, a major war, whatever. It was really fantastic. Now, coronavirus comes along, and the elephants in the room, which we'll get to in the next video, decide that everything has to suck. We gotta lock this down. There's a little bit too much information and freedom flowing around, and we gotta lock this down. So, this is where the Enlightenment space comes in, all right? This is where J.P. Sears comes back into the story. Because I've been looking at these people, the Enlightenment space, through the coronavirus, and there's a lot of them who, they won't say nay to the topics of Biden and Harris. They won't say nay to the topics of universal health care, or the difficult choices of abortion. You know, it's a really difficult thing to actually recognize that it's a question of when do you kill humans and when do you not kill humans. Like, that's a difficult question, man. People, when you can just look at it as women's rights, it's fine. But when you start to question definitions of humanity, it's a really difficult and different space that you're in. You know, questions of welfare and lockdowns and government authority. There's a lot of questions in here that the people who are in the Enlightenment space, but who consider themselves aligned with what they think of as progressivism, the environmentalists, the caring part of government, the neoliberal establishment. They think that this is all good, and they're aligned with that. But then when it starts to do the things that it's done over the last 11 months, you start to get some questioning, and you start to get some uncomfortable thought in the Enlightenment space. And it's starting to look a little bit like you're going to have some more people in the Enlightenment space speak up. And I'm here with my whole, what am I up to? 37 subscribers. Woo! I think I've got 4 on BitchUte, which is actually not bad, right? Gotta get on Rumble too. So, that's great. JP Sears has gone a little weird. Wonderfully so. In the past several months. He's been hit with the censorship. He's been hit with the, you're not allowed to make humor about these topics. You're not allowed to talk about these topics. You're not allowed to have a different opinion. He's been hit with all of that, and I understand that he's somewhere in libertarian space also, not just Enlightenment space, but I don't think he's in the ANCAP, the anarchist space. That just, libertarianism is very fractured. It's one of the reasons you can't get anything done with libertarians. And I love it. I love libertarianism, but this is true. You can't get anything done with libertarians because they are very fractured, and there's always... The main thing to look for with libertarian is no. The answer no. You can't, no, I don't like, no. If only people would think the way I did, everything would be fine. If everyone would operate as they should. If you got rid of government, then everyone could live as they should. Should. That's a very dangerous word. So JP is getting more and more, acting more and more red-pilled. And things are going a little bizarre in that space. But he's maintaining his happiness. Like, you can tell that the Enlightenment space part is still there. But I think he's firm. He's developing a firmness of character, a stance, a solid stance. In a martial arts term, he's finding a stance from which to defend himself or attack, because the world, the establishment world has decided that they are not going to resolve this peacefully. In the mental, psychological, spiritual sense. And it's really amazing to watch JP do that. Like, if you watch the videos from March till now, if you watch the flow, he pokes a lot of very uncomfortable humor at people on the right and people on the left. There are videos I haven't been particularly fond of because I feel like they present a shallow view of certain political stances. Not everyone can be informed on everything. I'm certainly not. But if you watch from March on, it's amazing to watch his... It's not a red pill, it's not a black pill, it's more like a gray pill. I don't know. It's a black belt pill. It's amazing to watch him get black belt pilled. Okay? He's getting firm, and he's there, and it's he's not really necessarily a bellwether of the Enlightenment space, but he's part of it, and watching him is watching my friends in Sedona decide that they're not complying with Governor Ducey's restrictions, watching my friends at a retreat in southern Arizona just go their own way. It's watching people here in Nevada also go their own way. I'm watching the Enlightenment space And they're not terribly involved as yet, but it's interesting to see that bridges are being built that mix. Sorry, had to check my clock there. That mix your spheres of influence. Okay, the rural farmer gun culture crowd is not so far away from the suburban white Enlightenment crowd right now. And it's going to be interesting to watch. More in just a few minutes.